Okay, I just wanted to share that when we first started Life Force Canada in 2020, we knew that there were many like-minded men and women who were really feeling frustrated and confused and betrayed, and they really needed a place to land, to feel seen and to feel heard, to be acknowledged for standing in the truth and for what they believed in. And at that time, we called it the Life Force Canada Monday Connection calls, which we've really called it up until now. So we've decided to actually change the name to something easier. So it's going to be, from now on, we're going to call this the Life Force Canada podcast. So podcasting was originally known for just audio content. I mean, I used to have a podcast like 20 years ago, and it was just all about audio. But now it's evolved to be both audio and video over the years. And of course, it just makes sense, as everyone knows what a podcast is. So with that said, welcome to the Life Force Canada podcast. Yay. So glad you're pumped to be here, Matthew. So let me ask, where is your birth certificate? It's likely stashed in a filing cabinet or tucked in a safety deposit box, mistaken for a simple piece of paper that you can identify yourself with. Well, not any of you. There is a lot of people, though, that have no idea about the birth certificate debt slavery system. So I thought I would put a mini presentation together. I say mini laughingly, ha ha ha. Because it's a really foundational piece that we all really need to become aware of. So I'm here to show you the problem, and then we can focus on solution, of course, right? So we all know that the custodians who control the systems here in this realm have enslaved you shortly after your mother gave birth to you. And after your birth, your mother signed her birth certificate with this legal name associated to you, then registered you with the Crown Corporation, allowing its employees to create a trust under your legal name, turning you into a corporate slave to be used in commerce. Yes. So I'm actually going to be sharing with you a mini PowerPoint slide here as well. Rhonda, you're in Innisfil. I'm actually having a Take Back Your Town meeting here in Calgary, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, because I know Innisfil, you guys have a $50 million deep sky carbon dioxide removal plant being planned there for $50 million. So I think the people of Innisfil need to come together. Okay. Got a little bit distracted there. Okay, let me just share my screen. I just need to find my PowerPoint slides. Yes, okay, the legal name game is one of the greatest con games ever invented. Let's just take a deep breath in of life force energy before we begin. So yes, I'm talking about the fraud, the deception, and the corruption of the birth certificate slave system. I know you've all heard of it before, but again, there's so many who have no idea. I have gone to different gatherings and I say, hey, do you know anything about the birth certificate debt slave system? And they go, what are you talking about? So it's important for us to really know. This is a disclaimer. A lot of people have no idea of what I'm about to share. I am not an expert or authority. I'm just here to share what I've learned. I do believe every Canadian needs to do their own research and discover why the birth certificate was really created. And this presentation is offered as educational and, of course, entertainment purposes only. This is not legal advice. Yeah, so I discovered the acronym of AWARE. Are we really educated? Are we chattel? These are great questions to ask. Are we owned and measured for our lifespans, for instance? This is going to be a great video to share with your friends, especially if they do not know the truth of our history. I became aware of the birth certificate slave bondage system a few years ago through David Straight, Patrick Devane, Jordan Maxwell, amazing man, and Joyce Rosenwald. And a part of me just did not want to believe any of this was true. And I get it. You know, when you become aware of the truth, you realize that nothing in this world is what you think it is. You know, we weren't given the rules of the game. The custodians of this realm, they know the rules. And in order for us to truly rise up, we really need to know how the game is played. So we're going to be looking at how we've been tricked, and then, of course, how your power is being hidden from you, and then how to reclaim your true divine authority. I do believe that our only enemy is ignorance. Most people are not able to create change because of ignorance. And if you look at the root word, it means to ignore. And ignorance, of course, is defined as a lack of knowledge. And without higher knowledge, without knowing how things work and then applying that knowledge, life is just going to keep repeating itself, repeating the same cycle. So we're here to free our soul from bondage. And this is one of the most important things that we can do right now. We can no longer really ignore the truth, no matter how ill it makes us feel. And so when we open our eyes, we can be shocked. I know I was when I discovered this occult financial system of stock trading, and that the stock that's actually being exchanged every day for millions of dollars is human stock. We are the stock. We are the cattle being sold and traded. Well, it's not actually you. It's your name, right? It's your all caps name that is being traded, the name that is on your birth certificate that's being sold, etc. So yes, every time you open up a bank account, you go to court, register a vehicle, pay insurance, mortgage, etc. Bills. Haven't we been taught to pay our bills? So anytime you fill out an application, they take credit from your hidden private trust account. And I want to say this, all, and I mean all of our leaders in government, and I'm talking about our premiers, prime minister, presidents, governors, whatever you want to call them, and high-level corporations like the CEOs, etc., high level, those high-level judges, high-level lawyers, they know about this system. So unfortunately, they're never going to tell you, as they've, of course, signed an oath to never disclose this information. Okay, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So let's just step back and take a closer look at birth certificates. Your mother was told she needed a birth certificate for you so that as you grew up, you could access benefits and services such as healthcare and education. It was also a way that, you know, you could be identified to access basic rights. Sounds really great. However, as we know, there's much more to the birth certificate than we've been taught to believe. So first of all, there is two versions of records of your birth. And most of us have only been seen or know about the short form or that card, right, known as the birth certificate. And that short form is proof that a long form record of live birth exists. And so this here image is the first record of live birth. So your mother fills out when you arrive on this realm. It's written out and it is created as, again, evidence of your life. And most of us have never seen this one. This is a record of live birth, and it really documents who you are. It also certifies that a property title is registered as a security. So it's like a warehouse receipt for the baby. Because the second birth certificate is the one that you most likely have tucked in a drawer somewhere. And if you look at your birth certificate, as many of you here have, you're going to see that your name is spelled out in all capital letters, and all the words that are spelled out in all caps refer to corporations. So your birth certificate, of course, is printed on bond paper and has a name of the bank at the bottom. So all stock certificates have registration numbers, which is evidence of a bond. It also reads that this document is not meant to be used as identification. So again, the second birth certificate does not refer to a living being. It is the artificial you. This is the identification of the person, corporation, the all caps name. I'm going to get into that in a moment. So yes, this is what makes you a citizen of Canada. In the world of legalese, you're known as a dead entity. I love Joyce Rosenwald. She states that every child is a valuable asset in this realm, which, if properly trained, can contribute valuable assets provided by its labor for many years. So again, it is presumed by those who've researched this issue that the child itself is the asset of the trust established by the birth certificate. So you are a child that's owned by the state. Each one of us, including your children, of course, are considered assets in this country we call Canada. So Canada, as you know, is a registered US corporation. It is Canada Inc. And we are now designated by our government as human resources. Okay, so here's again how the scam works, how you got into the matrix in the first place. So when your mother arrives at the hospital, she's rolled into the birthing ward and then delivers you the baby, and your live birth is recorded. Your mother is then handed a stack of paperwork to fill out. And in the nurse manual, it actually reads, this is just to register your baby with the province. And I want to say here that the majority, a very high percentage of doctors and nurses have no idea what they're involved in here. They're all good people too. So this is where your mother is under duress. She's under influence of probably painkillers. So she's not even legally liable to sign a contract, but she signs as an informant. So again, this is where you become a ward of the state or a Canadian citizen slave. Yeah, so now I just want to back up and look at a little bit of history here. So before 1921, the records of births and names of children were entered into family Bibles, as were the records of marriages and deaths. So these records were readily acceptable by both family, etc. And then, of course, in 1921, the Maternity Act was created. And this is where the birth began to be registered, what we now call the birth certificate. It was known as the Maternity Act, and it was actually sold to the American people as a law that would reduce maternal and infant mortality. I get it. You know, it makes sense, 100%. One of the other purposes provided for the state agencies to oversee the operations. And this was really to create a federal birth registry, which is what exists today, creating what Joyce referred to as federal children. And the government, it was called Parents Portray, now legislates for American and Canadian children as if they were owned by the federal government. I know Joyce also wrote that what the Maternity Act really did was create a federal birth registry. And so many people believe that we live in a free country, but yet most people are in the public jurisdiction. Yeah, so she also wrote, through the public school enrollment process and continuing license requirements for most aspects of daily life, these children grow up to be adults indoctrinated into the process of asking for permission from daddy government to do all those things necessary to carry out daily activities that exist in what is called a free country. So now we can see why, in 2020, why so many people were going along with what the government and health authorities were saying, right? Now, another piece of the puzzle that I need to really talk about here is that we need to understand that there are two main laws that exist. And as I mentioned, I'm here to show you the problem, and then we can focus on the solution. So Jordan Maxwell, love Jordan Maxwell. He explains it best. By the way, in our Life First Canada YouTube channel, I uploaded with Karen Hanna's assistance, I uploaded a Jordan Maxwell video there. Highly recommend you check it out this coming weekend. So there's two laws, law of the land and the law of water, which is also known as law of the sea. Words and terms are based on maritime law, which goes back to the British domination of the seas. So if we look at the Knights Templars, they brought these concepts in, and they were developed, of course, into commercial terms and symbols. So maritime law rules the world of commerce. So the custodians at the time, they had no power over the law of the land, which is what we know as natural law, creator law, but governments could only gain power by turning every living man and woman, natural man and woman, into corporations, so that, of course, we would be referred to as dead entities lost at sea via the birth certificate system. Okay, so let me explain further here. So the law of water, in the law of water, they use shipping terminology. So all ships are female as they deliver the product, right? So when the ship comes through the canals and docks at the port, it's birthed. Well, every item that comes off that ship has to have a certificate of manifest. So they, of course, they had to bring the law of the sea onto the land. So just like a ship, you were birthed through the canal of your mother, the waters, and you arrived at the dock, the doctor in the ward. And again, maritime admiralty is banking law. And it says that because you were born from your mother's water, you are an admiralty product. This is why ships sit in the berths and they are tied to the dock. And the captain has to give a certificate of manifest to the port authority. Hence your, birth certificate, right? So the ship moves by the sea current, just as we're able to move by the currency of money. In law, your body, again, is a corporation. And when you die, it's a corpse. So your body is business. And again, the judge has no jurisdiction with people who are on the land. The courts only have jurisdiction over those who are in the law of the water or law of the sea. So again, the law of water, as Jordan puts it, is how the governments really rule the world, or how the custodians rule the world. Every natural man and woman is born in the private on the land, which is what your live birth record indicates. So again, as soon as you're born, your mother and father were tricked into registering you with the government, and then you become cargo on a vessel at sea. They don't let you know, though, they don't let your parent, your mom or your father know, right? That after 7 years, you become lost at sea under the enslavement of the state, and you're now a legal entity under the jurisdiction of any judge in maritime law court. Take a deep breath in. Yeah, it's crazy. So it's really important to remember these two jurisdictions. We have complete sovereignty in law of the land, and they know this. The law of the land is about do no harm. And here you are a real man, a real woman. This is where we simplify our life. It's all about moral law, knowing the difference between right and wrong. That's why I truly believe when we let go of the idea that we need a federal government, that we can really begin to educate everyone and really step into moral law. I do believe at the core, everyone is a good man or woman. If we look at those moments where we can see people who are struggling or on welfare, or they're suffering, we can see why when we understand the birth certificate system. Because they are trapped in the law of the sea. They're trapped in a fictional system. And this is how the elite class rule. And they only rule the law of the sea. This is a hierarchical system. And of course, it's all about legalese. So corporations can only contract with corporations. So the more we know, the more we can make conscious choices to stay in the law of the land, in natural law, and really claim our true power, our spiritual power, our divine authority. Maritime admiralty, again, is banking law, and it says that because you were born from your mother's water, you're an admiralty product. And when you're born, your parents created a bill of lading. A bill of lading is a legal document that describes what's being shipped between a shipper and a logistics company, how much of it there is and where it's going. So it also proves that you own or control the goods described as well. I want you to read the last paragraph here. This is why I put this in here. Because your parents did not realize what was happening. They were definitely tricked. However, you are deemed a beneficiary, but the state holds the certificate for the benefit of the estate. They will hold it as long as it takes to manage the accounts until you become competent enough to manage your own estate. I'm going to get more into that in a moment here. So yeah, so your mother signed unknowingly, and when she signed the birth certificate, she was informing the banks that she had just produced another product to be bought and sold. So with your name in all capital letters, you are recognized not as a natural being, but as a corporation or product. Welcome to Canada. All this information relates to how the general public are still legally tied through maritime admiralty law, through this ancient legal construct that we can be, easily controlled. So we're here to learn about our legal fiction, and otherwise we're just going to be these empty vessels out at sea. Okay, I just want to take a moment and go back even further so that you have more knowledge on how all of this got started. Now, Cestui Que Vie is French for one who lives, and it's pronounced Cestui Que Vie. I'm going to just say CQV going forward. Is a legal term that means an individual who is the beneficiary of a trust or an insurance policy with rights to property and the income and profits that the property provides. So the first CQV trust was formed in the, what was it, Henry VIII of England in 1540. So we're going to talk about this more later. I just want to state here that it's the CQV Act that was created in 1666 during the Black Plague and the Great Fires of London that I really wanted to share with you. So Parliament enacted this act behind closed doors, and it was the Cestui Que Vie Act of 1666. Do you think that year was a coincidence? So the act that was debated was to subrogate the rights of men and women, meaning that all men and women were declared dead, lost at sea beyond the sea. So this meant that the poor who were not proven by the courts at the time were alive. They did not claim their estate. Of course, they weren't even told about this at all. So the courts and the custodians at the time just took over all the estates and the property and just presumed that everyone was abandoning their property. So then the custodians then would manage their estate in their absence. Yeah, they thought that was a really, really good idea at the time. I know this is really mind-blowing information, especially if you've never heard anything about this. It's really important to take a deep breath. When a birth certificate is registered with the Treasury, they will issue a bond on the value of the birth certificate. So that bond is then made available for purchase on the Securities Exchange, and it's bought by the Federal Reserve Bank or the Bank of Canada. And then this purchase then becomes the authority or collateral to issue the banknotes. So the trusts from way back in the day have continued since then. This purchase then really becomes collateral to issue banknotes, which we then use as our own medium of exchange. So yes, the fiat system, the cash system is a part of this birth certificate trust system, the fiat, right? Fiat meaning fake. Before we move into solutions, of course, we have to talk about the straw man. Think straw man from the Wizard of Oz. Right? The custodians of this physical simulation have to tell you the truth of this reality, the matrix, and they do so through the movies, right? Movies are really meant to entertain, so no one would ever believe the symbolism that's being portrayed, okay? So for example, The Wizard of Oz, it was written by Frank Baum, and it was far from just a tale, right? It really symbolized, it showcased the new state of affairs for America. So in the 1930s, right, when the stock market crashed, it was a manipulation of the withdrawal of the gold, etc. And then, of course, the bankruptcy, and the movie, of course, focuses on Kansas. And it was no longer just plain Kansas anymore. This is when they created the artificial corporate structure for the states, the artificial corporate bankruptcy of the United States. So they began to create a federal territory, and then Dorothy and Toto were in this state now, in this new capital K for Kansas, right? KS Corporation. So on her journey in this unfamiliar land, Dorothy meets up with 3 characters, each having a different problem or challenge. I highly recommend checking out this movie from this new perspective. The straw man embodies the concept of the legal fiction, which we're talking about. The legal fiction that is in the law of the sea, the artificial twin that we never knew that we had. So he's a creation of the federal government bearing the same name as your birth certificate, is identified as a person, not even a he. So just like the straw man in legal proceedings, he lacks true existence. There's no breath of life. Instead of a brain, he receives a certificate. Isn't this just incredible? So a legal status then is given to him. And the Tin Man represents the industrialization. Tin, TIN, represents the taxpayer identification number. The cowardly lion symbolizes fear, which is the opposite of a lion, of course, and the inability to stand up for oneself. So this is really about how he's really mirroring the struggle to overcome fear and find courage, which really symbolizes the masses who have been really afraid to challenge authority or question the system. And then, of course, the Wizard of Oz really just embodies the political leadership that we've known for centuries, right? The Wizard of Oz is the charlatan, the illusion of power, and how all of the presidents and the elections, etc., are showcasing the illusion. And Toto, of course, exposes the illusion, right? So behind the curtain, there's just this showman manipulating the levers, using the tricks to maintain control or to have perceived control. Yeah, sound familiar? The wizard symbolizes really the fragility of authority, and yet so many people have a fear of authority. If only people knew the truth. Why do they do this, right? The straw man has no brains, no hands, no fingers by which to grasp a pen in order to write a check or to speak, to pay a fine. They need a living man or woman to create. So you were made into a corporation because of contract law. They cannot contract with a living man or woman. Corporations can only contract with another corporation. So they've turned us into corporations, implied, as many do not know. Contracts have to be signed by both parties. And you find out that there's no contract in many of the applications that we put forward in our life. And so what they have us doing is taking full responsibility and liability. No wonder so many people are feeling like this, right? Hopeless, broken, insignificant. This fraudulent conversion, this identity theft has drained our life force throughout our lives. Majority of people identify as the person, they identify as the straw man who feels powerless. They're not even aware of what they were birthed into and how to free themselves from this matrix of control. They're not even aware of what's happening. So it's really important for us to remember that we're not our birth certificate, that you that's on the birth certificate is not you. It's not you, the baby. They registered your name as a corporation. So corporation, again, is corpse, meaning dead entity. They want you to believe that that person on their birth certificate is you, but it's not. It's got nothing to do with you. And that's one of the biggest solutions that we really need to step into, is to unhook ourselves from the identification on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, on a mental level. So many are, feeling lost. There's a lot of lost souls in this realm right now. As I mentioned, the first step is to separate ourselves from this legal fiction. We need to really delete the words person, citizen, resident from our vocabulary. And I know this, it's going to take time. Anytime we answer to this artificial legal person name, we're actually creating joinder on an energetic level, not just a physical level, but an energetic level as well. And then we are aligning with the liable debtor, and that's not who you are. However, as I state here, right, if you stand truthfully as a man or woman, not acting as an artificial legal person, then the two begin to become separate. It's really important to really begin to watch what we say, to watch our words, how we are identifying ourselves out there in the world. And we have to be patient with ourselves. We need to have a lot of compassion for ourselves because, we've been indoctrinated in these systems for a really long time. So it's going to take a while. We need to step out of contracts. That's really what it is. Extracting yourself from contracts, so you're no longer in the legal jurisdiction. Remember, all statutes, mandates, bills, acts, policies of Parliament, and most importantly, the one they are using for any engineered health crisis are only applicable to the legal fiction straw man and entity. I know there's so many people, even in the freedom movement, they're getting so angry with Parliament and angry with Trudeau and their premiers and the bill of this year and the bill of that. And has nothing to do with you. Every time you get angry with them, you are giving your power away. And they know it. And they're feeding off your anger. It's really important to begin to let go because it's all a distraction. It's not even real. Remember, statutes, mandates, bills, acts, policies are only in reference to corporations. Say this with me out loud. All statutes, mandates, bills, acts, policies of Parliament only refer to corporations. Not I, the living man or woman. I do not consent. There's many in Life First Canada, many of our members, especially in our private member forum, that are ordering their long form live birth records. So we do recommend that you do for many reasons. So depending on which province you were born in, it's going to depend on how you order your live birth record. For me, I live in Alberta. However, I was born in British Columbia. So I needed to contact vital statistics from in British Columbia. So you just have to Google vital statistics in your province. I know in Alberta, you just need to go to the registry office and they will do it for you. So I think you can just go to the website and print off an application. So what I did was I printed off my application and I mailed it to Vital Statistics along with my check. I just sent in a check and I received it within 3 weeks. So that is something that I highly recommend that you do if you haven't done it yet. And I also recommend that you actually order your birth certificate, like your all caps birth certificate as well, especially if you only have the little card birth certificate. I recommend that you get the paper certificate on bond paper. then you'll really be able to see the truth. Another reason why it's important to get your live birth record is for your own security. Because if you ever have to go to court, and of course, we do not recommend that you ever go to court, but if you're ever forced to, the judge may ask, how are you going to prove that you are a living man or a living woman? And so having a copy of your live birth record to state your status is going to be really important as well. The truth is, you are the highest ranking creditor. You are not a debtor. You are a divine creditor. You are pure source energy. And it is really important for all of us to really acknowledge the truth of who we are. You are here to learn about the sacred powers inside of you, which are the powers of your thoughts, the power of love. The demonic forces do not like the energy of love. And then rising up into higher levels of consciousness, which proves that you are a live, sentient, divine being who has infinite potential. And once you step out of that legal, fictional law of the sea jurisdiction, which keeps you distracted from knowing yourself, once you step out, you're going to really step into the divine creator within yourself, the divine creditor within. You as a living man, I'm speaking to all the men here, you as a living man, you are a powerful creator. I'm speaking to all the women. You as a living woman, you are a powerful creator. Say this out loud. I am a powerful creator. You are a divine creditor. Now, remember, Toto was what the Wicked Witch was really after. Toto in Latin means total. So Toto exposed, as I mentioned, the Wizard of Oz, and Toto had no fear, despite being really small. Toto's the one that pulled back the curtain. So curtain means the end of an act, right? The end of a scene. So I believe too that we're at the end of an epoch, right? We're at the end of a 26,000 year cycle. We're at the end of the dark force reign. It's the end, it's the last scene. We are the ones now, living men and women, who are pulling back the curtain. We're pulling back the curtain of the hidden, corrupt, corporate legal fiction and its false courts right now. And as Dorothy was making her way back to Kansas, you know, she was reminded that her true power lived inside of her as well, right? We are all here to totally live in abundance, 100%. Abundance is your birthright. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
So people have started putting their questions in the chat. Feel free to add more. I'll be watching for them. So some of them start back near the beginning of when you were talking, Karen. Rhonda mentioned something about a deep sky. She went to a deep sky presentation and she asked a ton of questions. She thought it wasn't as bad as perhaps it might have been made out. But still, she doesn't see the need to reduce the CO2, but at least the risks are not as bad as we thought. Do you want to make a comment about that?
Thank you, Rhonda. We definitely do not need a carbon dioxide removal plant anywhere in Canada. I do believe it's all money laundering. We actually have a speaker coming on, April Reeves. I think Karen Hanna, she's got the date of when she's going to be speaking, and she's going to be talking about that in length. So I'm gonna keep it there because she's got a lot to say about the truth of why they're creating it.
Thanks, Karen. Now, Mark has a few, and I'm not sure if they're all related, but I think they are. So bear with me while I read a few. And how many problems do babies born via midwives who don't register themselves give to the government, their parents, and themselves?
Well, for one, you're not able to then register your child in the public school system, which is a great idea then. They are homeschooling. They are not involving their children in any of the systems whatsoever. We're learning to unplug from all of those systems that are keeping us actually below the line energetically anyways. So I think it's really important for all of us to take those steps and learn what we can. We need to remember that the trust account is not a physical account. It's an energy account. It's in the ether. It's not physical. Your trust account is connected to you through ecclesiastic law. So it's connected to your spiritual aspect of you. So the more that you're connecting to the pure heart of you, that trust account is going to be unlocked. I mentioned this at the Sovereign Living Conference. It's like the lock. Every time we remember who we are as sovereigns, we open it just one more. We remember who we are as divine creditors, again. We remember who we are as powerful beings. It's like, it's just shifting and opening the account. It's on a frequency level. We have to remember everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. It's on an energetic level. And once we truly embody that we are divine creditors, we're going to be living in prosperity. However, if you've got issues with money right now, if you have an issue opening up a bill, right? If you feel lack or scarcity, there's going to be a journey for you to connecting to that abundance that's here for all of us, but it's connected to an energetic blueprint inside of you. And that's what we need to unlock.
Matthew, Ricardo, does anyone know why we copyright our name in Canada versus trademarking it, or is it the same?
No, it's definitely not the same. Trademarking is actually very expensive for one thing. And copywriting actually just comes from Susan Brawley. I never knew about copywriting until Susan Brawley introduced it to us. And then we created a course around that. So I do believe, though, as my friend Kimberly has mentioned, that there's another process that we don't have to copyright. We still need to become secured party creditors, but we don't have to copyright. If you've copyrighted already, she said it's no problem, it's okay. But I mean, copywriting is not very expensive to begin with, but yeah, right now we still have it as a part of our process.
Thank you.
Hi,
Thank you.
Cynthia.
Hi, just to add, thank you for the beautiful presentation, Karen. It looked like that was you zenning out in one of your slides there. It was beautiful. Just to add to what you said about the difference between copyright and trademark, trademark is very, very specific. You'll see it in a lot of people's businesses. I'm trying to think of one offhand where they'll have like a slogan and
Yes.
it'll be trademarked, but copyright has more flex to it. So you could be known as your first hyphen middle name. You could be known as your first name, middle name, last name. You could be known as your last name, comma, first name, second name. You can have it switched around in many different configurations under copyright where you wouldn't have that under trademark. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Cynthia. Actually, Brendan Joe Williams is teaching people to trademark. And I get it. I had a game years ago called Get Talking, and we trademarked our name of our game. And copywriting usually focuses on what is written as well. Yeah. Thank you, Cynthia.
Mark also asks, how do you drive a car or buy a house if you don't use your birth certificate, all caps name?
Yeah, right now the housing and car industry is all in the corpse world. So unless you're buying it from a living man or living woman,
Dale Ann asks, if you could please explain how we can claim we are a living woman or man to sidestep laws if we haven't completed the whole copyright process yet.
Dylan, say with me, I'm a living woman. I claim it so. It is done. It is simple as that. It is simply you claiming who you are. That's where it starts. And then we move forward in a higher frequency, a higher model of reality. Because remember, this realm is not just one reality. Everyone's vibrating at different frequencies. So everyone has different realities. Just like when I go out to the farmer's market, I'm walking through, I'm in a different reality than the one that's walking past me with a mask on. They have a lot of fear in their reality. And I'm in a very different reality. Love is all I see. So when you're vibrating at a different frequency, the laws of the Angeligus, the person, the corporate fictitious entity, is not going to be even in your realm. It's not even going to apply to you at all. And it sounds simple when I say this, but it really, we can make this simple. But yet, if you want to get a driver's license, yeah, you're going to definitely need to have identification with you if you want to buy a vehicle, etc. But until we begin to own it mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, that's the key. And then the physical aspect begins to play itself out as you begin to claim and remember who you truly are. It is your mind and your thoughts that create reality. But if you're coming, and if anyone here is coming from that place of, oh, I hope that they're going to receive my documentation. I hope they're going to receive my secured party creditor information. Then we're still in that realm of doubt. So we need to be claiming this for ourselves.
Melanie asks, are the leaders in government and high-level judges and lawyers, weren't they made into strawmen too when they were born? What makes them so special?
They've been living in the private. And that's why when anyone thinks that we're going to get justice from any of them, we're not. Breathe that in. Because they're already living in the private. They're not in the public jurisdiction. The public jurisdiction was made for us, not us, but the lowest, debtors, the peasants of society, right? The villagers. They all live in the private capacity already. They just don't tell us. They haven't given us the rules of the game. We're just learning about how it all works right now. Oh, there is a private jurisdiction? Oh, really? We don't have to be these straw men paying our bills, doing all this anymore? Paying taxes? What? They don't have to pay taxes? Really? What? Yeah. It's been going on for a very, very long time. We're just waking up to it. It's been here all along.
And Jennifer comments, that's why we can't nail Justin Trudeau, because he's protected under private common law and only another private person can be anything against or bring anything against him.
Absolutely, Jennifer, brilliant woman. Yes. So again, we need to drop the fight. We need to stop getting angry with Trudeau because they're just puppets. They're not even real. They're just puppets playing the law of the sea commerce game. Whoever believes in it, that's what they're there for. So if you believe in that corpse game, right, you're going to be the one that is emotionally connected to it. If you don't believe in it and you're over here as a natural living man and woman, claiming your sovereignty, focusing on creating the life you want, you're not going to care what they're doing. And I'm not saying that we're not going to do anything. I mean, right now, I have people come into my home every Saturday taking back their town, because that's where our power is. As a living man and woman, our power is taking back our towns from the UN agenda, from the corpse corruption corporation reality. And we bring it back into the living law of the land jurisdiction. We have that capacity to do that with honor, right? With respect and with grace. I yield.
Thank you, Karen. Elwin asks, can a bank account be open, for instance, a checking account only, with first and second name omitting the last name, for example, at a credit union?
I don't think so. I think you still have to have your surname. You can check it out though. Go ahead, check it out. Get back to us. Let us know. I haven't done that yet. I have a bank account with no social insurance number though.
Okay, and Jennifer says, without a birth certificate, you won't have access to the benefits of your bond, was her understanding. So that's an agreement with you.
Well, and then you can go into reclaim your securities. So Kimberly is talking about giving back your birth certificate, right? It's like, this is not my identity. I'm giving it back to you. I'm surrendering my birth certificate back to you. It's not who I am. So we're going to be looking at that. Kimberly's going to probably be speaking. I'm not too sure when, probably January. So we can do a deeper dive then.
Deborah, she wants to explain this as you have to others. Is there a way to learn this?
Yes, watch the video over and over again.
Repetition.
Repetition. That's all it is repetition, 100%. I just want to state in regards to what Jennifer said, 6,000 years. So 26,000 years are known as epochs. So we have epochs that we've been experiencing. So every epoch, there's a shift that takes place.
And Sandy, who is new to us this today, how do you not pay taxes? And I know we have our courses, but maybe you could comment briefly for the record here too.
If you look at PMAs, private member associations, a golf and country club is a private member association. A nightclub is a private member association. So they've been around for a very, very long time. Very long time. We just need to put them into action here. And when you have a PMA, you don't have to pay taxes. I yield.
Along with that, thank you. Along with that, Erin says, have members had success with Jurgen's CRA course? Most of us have taxes taken off at source.
Actually, I have no idea. I would love for people who've actually taken his course to give us some testimonials. That would be amazing so that we can pop them into the website. Maybe Karen Hanna can answer that. Maybe she knows of people who have been successful.
Yes, Karen, we did have a few testimonials a couple months, or not a couple months ago, but right after they had first taken the course, members who had worked with Jerry. So, but we haven't received any testimonials in recent months. But we do have a couple.
Thank you, Karen. And yes, the Hells Angels are a PMA. Sorry.
Kendra asks, she comments first, she's so glad we're talking about this. So her question to you is, do you think she should do a PMA instead of incorporate? And what's the best benefit?
Yes, I'm recommending PMAs 100%. Private income is exempt because in the PMA, you don't have income anymore. You have compensation. You're now stepping out of the public jurisdiction. You're totally in the private domain. I would love for anyone who has a PMA to share some benefits in the chat. That would be awesome. As a corporation, the government owns your business. When you have a PMA, there's no government involvement whatsoever. And Peter says you create your own laws, 100%.
Great. And Nicole has given a testimonial. My 2023 was successful. And now I see my 2019 to 2022 are being reassessed at the moment. So that's good news. And then M. Matthews says, is investing in a society a bad thing?
No, I guess you have to do your own research. You know, if you believe in the society and you know the society is something that aligns with your values. I personally do not know any society that I would ever invest in myself. Most of the ones that I know of out there that are seeking donations are actually criminal cartels. But if you have someone that you know owns it, that's a different story.
Great. Thank you. Bill says in his private member art association, it has triggered a ton of exchange and barter. That was not occurring when he used the fiat system. He's delighted with that ongoing process, and a few other people have listed other benefits. You get to create your own laws, rules, slash, and the problems can be solved within, and you have more freedom, etc.
Absolutely, Bill. Yay. Love it.
Megan says, how do I know that when I am on, how do I know that when I am on government money? She's got fibromyalgia and she receives AISH. I'm not sure what AISH, but
Yeah, I mean, if you're taking subsidies right now, you know, it's up to you. Keep doing what you're doing. Again, this is not what I'm sharing here this evening is not something that you're gonna just like start tomorrow. I mean, yes, you can start tomorrow, but this is really all about us taking a journey. It might take you 3 years to, you know, before you decide, okay, I'm not going to pay taxes anymore. Because there's a lot of fear around a lot of these things that I'm talking about. And we need to deal with our fears first. We need to deal with our belief systems, the limited beliefs that we have. And as you conquer those beliefs and you don't believe them anymore, and you're tuning into who you really are and how powerful you are, how intelligent your body is, then we begin to wean ourselves off of the systems, whether it's the healthcare system, the government systems, whether it's your banking system. Lots of people are weaning themselves off of RRSPs. They're cashing them in right now. They're buying silver instead, right? But that's something that you need to go into meditation about and get clarity because your higher self knows the answers. Your higher self knows the answers as you move forward. I'm always sharing, meditate, meditate, meditate. And as you meditate, the answers will become clear on what steps you are to take, not the steps that everybody else is taking, but the steps that you are here to take, because your steps are going to be very different than other people, because we're all at different levels of consciousness too. You're welcome, Megan.
Karen, thank you. And Karen of the McDonald family has her hand up to add something to the wisdom.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, yeah, just to add to her, what that is AISH, assisted income living. So when anything that's a T, like you get a T4A, I have my own business, I get a T4A, anything that's a T formed, it's not, Jerry's isn't going to really help unless you're have your own business where you can do it, structure it differently. But anything you get with respect to the government and get a T4 RSP or T4A, it can't really help you that much.
Thank you, Karen. If you are getting any T4, Ts, anything in the government, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. But again, you know, it's we're learning how to cross over the bridge and become creators in our life. Okay, so in order for anyone to get Jerry's course on dissolving tax issues, you need to be a private member. So right now we have our private membership at $25 a month, and we offer it for $250, I think it is, annually. January 1st, we are going to be increasing it to $30 a month. Yeah, so if you want to get in, if you're not a private member, you have until December 31st at the $25 a month mark or $250 annually. And we offer 4 coaching sessions a month as well. And they're really powerful sessions. We've got different speakers coming in as well. And we have amazing private members who are brilliant. They are going to be sharing their processes and what they have overcome, the challenges that they've had, and what they're doing as well, because we all need to learn from each other here too. It's going to be really, really important. Okay.
That's it, Karen. No more questions. just wanting a debt discharge course. Somebody in the chat is asking for that soon.
I'm working on it. That's all I'm working on right now. Is the debt discharge. Actually, we're not calling that anymore. It's going to be called Never Pay a Bill Again. And that will be out. I'm trusting that we'll have it by the beginning of November. I'm just doing the editing process right now, and we'll get that going. This actual video will be one of the videos in the course too, because there's going to be lots of people right now do not even know anything about the birth certificate system at all. It's just incredible. In the United States, they do, but a lot of people have no idea in Canada. So that course, the Never Pay a Bill Again, will be also available to our private members only as well. We're keeping all remedies. Well, I give a few today, but a lot remedies, majority of the remedies must stay in the private domain. It's really important as we move forward. Okay, before I go, I just want to say, guess who's gonna be on our Life Force Canada podcast on December the 16th. So to end the year, we've got, drum roll, Andrew Kaufman will be joining us. Yay! I'm very excited about that. Yes, I'm blushing. Yeah, he is so amazing. Absolutely. Okay. You are incredible. You are the pioneers, everyone. You are the pioneers in Canada. I so appreciate all of you. Thank you, everyone. Together we rise.
Thank you, Karen. That was awesome.
Thank you so much, Esther. Appreciate it. You were awesome. Thanks, everyone. Lots of love.